Hey guys, good morning. It's me, Cali. This is car vlog number 3. And it might be quite a long one. Oh, here comes my mailman. I have to take about a 30-mile ride or so, picking up a friend to go. They have to go get a rental car. So I thought I would take you guys along and you could keep me company on this ride. So it's kind of a gloomy day today, typical November day. It's not raining though, but very overcast. It's been down in the 30s overnight, so we're well on our way. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get snowflakes anytime soon. So it's all to be expected, but I hope you guys are doing good. I also have there's a handyman who is doing some basic repairs around my cottage this week. So I thought I would be there with him today. He came over yesterday just to see kind of what I needed to be done. And I'm also looking at putting up having them put up a wheelchair ramp for me. Just in case, you know? And we'll see. I'm going to try to see if Medicare will provide any kind of reimbursement for that. I don't know if it's considered an adaptive device or not, but I am going to attempt to see if they would be willing to cover at least partial payment for that. You know, I love my landlord. He's amazing, both he and his wife. You know, so they're very accommodating and very willing to help out whatever needs, you know, but obviously I want to see if I can assist in some way. So anyway, I'm not unhappy that I'm going to be out of the house while the handyman is very nice. I hope you guys aren't bumping around too much there. You know, I just rather let them have the freedom to do whatever they want to do without me hovering around, and it is a small space. So I'm gonna go do this. And you know, I was trying to think of what we could talk about today, and I've had a few people ask me to share my kind of journey towards wellness, if you will. I am still such a newbie as far as a healthy lifestyle and taking care of myself, although I have dived in head first, and there's no turning back. And I'm so excited because I'm finally now at 51 years old starting to really just enjoy this life, take care, you know, I'm understanding what's important, and really living those principles. I've always kind of known these things, but I was never able to fully enact them in my life. And now everything has come together where it's possible for me to really be living what I've wanted for so long. So I thought I would share with you guys, and I'm going to keep this centered on food and nutrition and things like that as much as I can, but who knows where we'll go here. So I'm going to start at the beginning, and I have to say that my mom was always, and still to this day, whoa, get on your lane, lady. My mother was always very health conscious and still is to this day. And, you know, I mean, to go even further back, oh my goodness, I was breastfed as a baby. And, you know, I was born in 1964. So, you know, my mother worked full time, but still came home and cooked dinner every night. You know, we had home cooked meals. Going out to dinner was a rare occasion. Come on. You're welcome. And, you know, it was meat, potatoes, and a vegetable, or, you know, meat, a starch, and a vegetable, and that's what I grew up on snacks in my house, literally were like raisins, popcorn, you know, Fig Newtons. That's about as, you know, treats as we got. And I remember wanting junk food. I want, you know, if my mother bought like a kid's TV dinner or something for me, I just thought that was the greatest thing in the world. But that was a treat, you know. It wasn't a regular everyday thing. We didn't eat a lot of processed foods at all. It just wasn't around. And I kind of didn't like that as a kid. I remember looking at other kids, you know, who were eating crap. They'd bring, you know, in their lunch. I wanted Wonder Bread sandwiches with bologna and chips and, you know, yodels or ring dings. I wanted all that crap. And my mother didn't buy that stuff. You know, she bought, I remember, you know, Mom, I'm hungry. Oh, go eat some shredded wheat, you know. So as a kid, I didn't like it. But as an adult now, I'm so thankful, you know, that my mom gave my sister and I, you know, good, strong, healthy foundation. But anyway, so that was my early childhood as eating. And again, treats like to get pizza, maybe, you know, once a month. And that was like a big deal. You know, somebody brought home a pizza. Or I can remember maybe when I was around 11 or 12, my dad worked for, you know, did some traveling. And he would come home on Friday nights and bring McDonald's, you know. And I can remember watching Little House on the Prairie and eating a Big Mac and French fries and a melted vanilla shake, and that was like such a treat. But I never had weight issues as a kid. I never had like body image issues. We spent our time outside. You know, you didn't hang out inside and watch TV. The only time I can remember like active, you know, Saturday morning cartoons, maybe for an hour or two, and then you clean the house and got outside. So I did ballet as a kid. I grew up on, at one point we had a lake where, you know, it was just always outside, ice skating and sleigh riding and running around. And I was never athletic at all. I'm not to this day, but, you know, hide and seek and climbing trees and just being an active outdoor kid. I had ballet lessons for years, you know, so I was always happy with my body. I didn't think about, you know, any issues, body image issues. And it's funny, I've been thinking about this, making this video, and like wondering, you know, do I have issues around food? What are my habits and things like that? And I distinctly remember being I was probably 11 or 12. I think I was in 5th grade. And walking into like it was yesterday, walking into the lunchroom with a group of my girlfriends. Don't pull out there, buddy. Hi. And my one friend turning to me and like looking at me and going, "Ew, why don't you suck in your stomach?" And I just remember like, what? What do you mean? Like, what? Am I fat? Am I what? And all of a sudden, to this day, you guys, that stays with me. And it's so funny how stuff runs so deep. I will consciously hold my stomach in when I'm standing up. You know, one of the things, if I really think about it, I'm in a wheelchair a lot. And if you think about when you're sitting down, you always kind of get that little bit of a roll, you know, as when you're standing up, it kind of goes away. Well, you know, I'm really conscious of it to this day. Isn't that crazy? You know, I could get 100 compliments and I'll remember one perceived insult. So that was kind of burned in my memory. I remember that and starting to be aware of my body in relation to other girls' bodies, and, you know, what's beautiful or looking attractive for boys, and wanting to be pretty. And, you know, and I was definitely at that awkward stage at that age, you know. I was never like fat or anything, but I definitely went through a chubby stage and classes and just feeling like a geek, you know, and out of place. And that was like 13-ish. And I remember around that point I had and my parents got divorced. I don't know if any of this has anything to do with anything, but it probably does. my parents got divorced, and right around that time I started like trying to turn into a wild child, smoking and, you know, trying to be bad, whatever that means. So, you know, that's tied into it too, because I wanted to be one of the cool kids. And I remember when I was 13, I had a friend, one of my best friends, Kathy, was 2 years older than I. And I thought she was beautiful, and I wanted to be just like her, and she was so cool. And, you know, I remember copying her handwriting and just looking up to her, and she was slim and she was conscious of her figure. And so I think I was starting to emulate that kind of stuff. But again, never really anything conscious. And around when I was 14, I got my very first boyfriend, like my first serious boyfriend, who, interestingly enough, I kept in touch with till he died 2 years ago. But anyway, that's another story. But so around that time, but he always made me feel beautiful too. But I remember, I can look at pictures from that time, and I'm like 5'4"-ish. Maybe I want to say I'm 5'5", but I'm not. I'm like 5'4", and probably at that time I was about 130 pounds, 135 pounds, which isn't a lot. But in my head, I thought, you know, ew, I look like I'm getting fat, you know. So around that time, I remember starting to get conscious of my weight. And then here comes high school, and I was a new kid in school. I moved around a lot as a kid. And so right at that same time, 13, 14, I was, you know, a new kid in freshman year in high school and trying to fit in. And I think around that time, whether consciously or not, I was smoking cigarettes and stuff, and I think I started taking Dexatrim. Remember those over-the-counter diet pills? Dexatrim? Which was awful. So I basically was living on, like, you know, my mom didn't know, you know. Like, I was living on cigarettes and Dexatrim and Pepsi and just crap, and partying and not caring. Like, it didn't even occur to me that I should be trying to take care of my body. It wasn't even an issue, you know. Being healthy wasn't even on the radar. Like, you know, you're immortal at that age, or I thought I was anyway. And, you know, rock and roll, and, you know, don't trust anyone over 30 and all that crap. I'm at a 4-way stop here now. So I think from my freshman year in high school till my sophomore year, so around 15, I dropped 20 pounds or so over the summer. And I remember going back to school in my sophomore year and having new jeans. And at the time then, now this was like 1979, 1980. And so like Sassoon and Jordache jeans and stuff were, you know, all that crap. And I remember getting a pair of size 3, and here we are starting to focus on the number, you know. And I think ultimately the ultimate goal was to get to be a size 0, which how sick is that, you know? But at the time I remember being so proud that I could fit into my size 3 Jordache jeans, you know. So I think probably at that time I was maybe 110 pounds, 115, and I liked it. I liked the feeling of being slim. I liked the attention. You know, I lost the glasses. I got contact lenses. I thought it was cool. You know, I had a group of friends, and, you know, we hung out on the smoking lounge and talked about rock and roll. And, you know, I just, again, was not focused on health at all. Excuse me. Wasn't even on the radar, you know. But being slim was, and wanting to be pretty was. And so I just restricted. I can remember, again, trying to think of making this video. I can remember subsisting on like saltine crackers, you know, for days at a time. Or just crap, you know, a piece of pizza, and, you know, awful, awful. And then I got married right out of high school, and that's another video, you know. But I was young. I was 18. You know, we started dating when I was 17. I was 18 when I got married. I was pregnant when I got married, and I still wasn't taking care of myself, you guys. I don't know what the deal was, but I don't live a life of regrets at all. But if I could take back anything, it would be that, you know, that I didn't take care of myself. And now, I wasn't drinking alcohol, but I smoked. I smoked cigarettes throughout my 3 pregnancies. When I got pregnant with my daughter Rachel, I remember I was at my lowest weight. I had been cleaning houses for a living. I had moved in with my husband before we got married. I lived with him and his brothers, and I was cleaning houses and living on Pepsi and, like I said, Dexatrim and, you know, Lipton noodle soup, just to make sure I didn't get nauseous, you know, from not eating. I didn't even think about food. Food has never been like a reward thing for me at all. But like cigarettes, you know, I smoked a lot. I smoked a lot of cigarettes. And so when I was very low weight when I got pregnant. I was probably 100 pounds soaking wet. And subsequently, I gained an insane amount of weight with my pregnancy with my first daughter. I went from about 100 pounds to, I think it was 198 pounds when I gave birth to her. I just ate like there was no tomorrow. And again, not healthy. I ate whatever I wanted, but we were still young, you know, pizza all the time. My favorite sandwich that I probably ate every day of my pregnancy, I lived above a deli at that time. And I would go down every day and I would get capicola, which is a ham, like a spicy ham, capicola on a hard roll with provolone cheese, onions, and oil and vinegar and some oregano. And that was like my favorite sandwich. I lived on that. That and strawberry Haagen-Dazs. I would get a pint of strawberry Haagen-Dazs ice cream. And I'm not, to this day, like, I don't particularly like, you know, I'm not an ice cream kind of girl, but yeah, so 198 pounds when I gave birth. I breastfed all of my children. That's another video, but I literally breastfed for 7 years straight. From the time I had my daughter Rachel through my second pregnancy with my son, I breastfed him. I actually nursed 2 babies for a little bit of time, breastfed him up until the time I was pregnant with my third daughter, and then breastfed her until she was 3. So 7 years of breastfeeding, but that's another story. But again, you guys, I smoked cigarettes through all this. Like, it kills me. It kills me. But you can't take it back, you know. You can only, I try to, you know, tell my kids now. But anyway, 198 pounds when I gave birth. Because of breastfeeding and I'm sure my poor diet, I rapidly lost the weight after I gave birth to my first daughter. So I went from 198 pounds probably down to 115. And, you know, she was born in December. By June, I was in a bikini with a better body than I had starting out, because I had C-sections with all my kids, but I had a really skinny scar. It looked like my stomach muscle, you know, and I had boobs for the first time in my life because of nursing, and I thought I had a great body, you know. So, and I was very active. I was a very active young mother and never stopped, was always going, always, you know. So, my children are all 22 months, so weight wasn't an issue, that's my point. But my diet, I mean, I was the kind of what, you know, I had dinner on the table as a, you know, young wife every night, but I didn't know how to cook. I went from my mother's house basically knowing how to make grilled cheese sandwiches and pasta, you know, so as a young wife, I really didn't know how to cook. Actually, my husband kind of taught me a little bit, and I got cookbooks and learned, but same thing, I would, you know, a meat, a starch and a vegetable, and that was what you did. And so I was doing that, and because of the kids, but I, tried to be a little healthier, but really it wasn't big on the radar. So let's see. All right, so 3 kids, and I had the same experience with all of my pregnancies. I gained a lot of weight, got really, really big with each one, and then, within 2 months after each pregnancy, I was back down in my jeans, So that was never an issue for me. And then, but I have to say, now that I think back on it, really looking back at it, I did always subconsciously control my weight. If I felt that my pants were getting a little too tight, I'd restrict my eating. I never got anorexic. I never ever got bulimic. I hate vomiting, so I could never do the, purge thing. It didn't occur to me. I just, but I would definitely restrict my food and, like I said, subsist on cigarettes and Pepsi. And I did that for years. My kids would joke when I was young, when they were, not when they were young, as my kid. When they moved out of the house and they would come back to visit me, I never had food in the house. Again, I was still smoking. And then after my husband and I got divorced, I started drinking, and that's another video. But that became an issue for me for a good 10 years. And, with alcohol and that lifestyle, again, I wasn't eating, I was drinking, I was smoking cigarettes, Pepsi, a lot of pizza, a lot of cold cuts, I didn't cook for myself once the kids were, grown. I never cooked for myself. I just didn't take care of myself at all. And I love to cook, and I knew, around the time that I was living in, I told you I moved over by the Woodstock site, and, I have all my Woodstock stories, but I started being surrounded by people who were more health conscious and who were more spiritual and who did yoga and ate, they were vegan, and, and I would look at them and, as I had a beer in one hand and a cigarette in the other, and I was envious and I wanted that. And I remember in particular, there's one dear friend of mine, and I just was so envious of her. She ate clean and she did yoga. I mean, she was totally cool. She was everything I wanted to be. And I remember having the realization that, hey, Cali, there's nothing that she has that you can't have. Put down the cigarettes, put away the beer, get clean, get healthy, But it took me years after to do that. And I never made the connection to diet with me or trying to heal myself with food, even though I knew, again, it was starting to trickle in, people around me, I was starting to be influenced. I knew better. People assumed because of who I am that, I was this, they all thought I was vegetarian, they thought I was a granola crunching hippie, tree hugging hippie girl. And, it wasn't the case. So, let me see. Fast forward to, the end of my Woodstock years. I want to say this was around, I had my amputations done in 2002. So, still smoking cigarettes, not addressing diet at all. I've always, again, my weight, never an issue. I was probably 125 pounds at that time. I've always had low blood pressure. Cholesterol was not an issue, none of that stuff. Was in the hospital for a few months with my amputations. Wasn't smoking, obviously, when I was in the hospital. Lost a ton of weight when I was discharged after my amputations. I believe I was about 98 pounds. I immediately made my friends who picked me up from the hospital stop at the store and get me cigarettes. and they were protesting, and I didn't care. So no connection, no, you know, I think about it now and it just blows my mind. It just blows my mind. But when, I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why now. I'm just thankful now. But anyway, so all that happened, and then I remember I quit smoking, I quit drinking after my amputation. So that's one thing, and I did that all on my own and just decided that I wasn't doing that anymore. And that was, again, 2002. But I still smoked cigarettes. I still was not taking care of eating well at all, if I ate at all. And, you know, I remember having a doctor appointment, and my doctor, who I still go to, looking at me, and, you know, we were discussing my cigarettes, and this is after my amputations, and, you know, he's like, you need to go see a psychiatrist. And, you know, I'm a psychiatric nurse, you guys. I'm an RN, right? I know better. We're the worst patients, right? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, you have a death wish. I'm like, no, I don't. You know? No, I don't. What do you mean? And his words just haunted me. And, you know, I think about my kids. Think about my grandkids. You know, so all these factors started coming together. And I just slowly... I was able to quit smoking cigarettes. I, you know, had a very supportive partner at the time. You know, thank you, Mark. And he was instrumental in helping. And I, you know, subsequently got addicted to Nicorette gum for the next 3 years. I went from cigarettes to Nicorette gum. And then, like you guys know, I still chew Dentine Ice. You know, that's my new one. Or the latest, but that's gonna go too. I have a little weaning schedule. I have an end in sight, so that'll be the last of it. But so my doctor's words haunted me, and I thought, I don't want to be that. I have too much living to do. I have too much going on. You know, how about let's take care of yourself? So I was able to quit smoking cigarettes. So at that point, no more drinking, no more smoking cigarettes, and still. No, starting to get, you know, I knew about the diet. I'm at a red light. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I'm still not comfortable vlogging when there's people around and there was a woman walking by. Right now I'm driving through my old stomping grounds. I used to live around here. So we're about 8 miles from where we're going. So I'll wrap this up, which will be perfect actually. So where am I? So quit smoking, quit drinking. I started to become aware of, again, I had people at work who were health conscious and things like that, and it was a lifestyle that I sought after. So I was reading, and I started reading about doing cleanses and colon cleansing and things like that. I was reading some books by about the Gerson therapy and juicing and, you know, all these things. So I did a few cleanses, and I could do another separate video about that as well. I did a couple colon cleanses, and I did the master cleanse I've done like 5 times. I actually did, the last time I did the master cleanse in May, I did a series of videos every day. So if you want to check those out, they're there. But so, you know, slowly I started creeping in and playing around with being vegetarians, you know, starting to substitute some textured soy protein for meats and, you know, just playing around with it. And then I honestly have to say that YouTube was really, YouTube and Netflix, honestly, were very instrumental in my transitioning. So last May, again, I told you, last May, so 2014, I did, I think it was May, I did another master cleanse, and at the end of that cleanse, I went from being mostly vegetarian to 100% vegetarian. So I was vegetarian 100% from May 2014 to September of this year. And September of this year, I decided to start juicing, and I've been juicing ever since, every day. I started juicing in September of this year, and I decided to go 100% vegan on November 1st of this year. And I don't want to go back. And I know, you know, I'm brand new. I'm striving for progress, not perfection. I'm going to make mistakes. The other night I went out to dinner and I didn't even realize I buttered bread. And I ate it and I was like, oh my God, I just ate butter. You know, so there's going to be those kinds of things, but I'm consciously working at eliminating all animal products and just being more consciously aware. But again, Netflix, watching documentaries on, you know, forks over knives, cowspiracy, earthlings, you know, you guys know the videos. I can't even think of them now. Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. I watched every single documentary Netflix had to offer on, you know, juicing and vegetarianism and veganism, and just once you see those videos, you can't unsee, and you can't, once you know, you can't unknow. It's one thing if you're ignorant to this stuff and you don't know any better, and for years I didn't know any better, and I don't judge anyone else, because for 49 years I ate meat and I lived that lifestyle, and you know, I wasn't a bad person, I just didn't know. But now that I know, I can't not know, and I'm excited every day. You know, I found, again, you know, so those were the documentaries I saw on Netflix, and then on YouTube, there's you know, a million great people, but I definitely got turned on to Freely the Banana Girl, and she led me to other places, and honestly, for me, so that led me to a high-carb, low-fat, vegan, plant-based, 100% plant-based lifestyle. The only thing is that I'm not a big fruit fan. You know, fruit's okay, but that didn't really jive for me. And one person that I've found recently that I can't say enough good things about, and I just personally connect with, is High Carb Hannah, and she has a channel all about high carb, low fat, plant-based lifestyle, and she also has a personal vlogging channel, Life Inside a Box, with her and her fiance Derek, and they are all about starch and, again, high carb. So that to me, because I'm not a sweet girl, I'm not a sweet girl. I'm a savory girl. I've never been a sweet girl. I'm not into candies. I don't like pies and cakes and cookies and all desserts and, you know, all that stuff. Again, once in a blue moon, you could tempt me with a little ice cream or something, but by nature, I'm not a chocolate fan. You know, I know people who live and die for this stuff, but that's not me. I'm a savory girl. I like salt. I like savory, tasty stuff. So the fact that I can eat, you know, unlimited high carb, savory foods, you know, potatoes and rice and unlimited veggies, and, you know, there's just amazing, amazing choices. And I love, personally, vegetables, so this has just been great for me. And last night for dinner, I made, and I joined her Facebook group too, and I'll try to link everybody below when I get home later on today. I joined her Facebook group, Raw Till Whenever, which is a take on, there's a, Freely the Banana Girl has a group called Raw Till 4, which you eat raw foods until 4 o'clock, and then they have cooked foods. This is kind of Raw Till Whenever, which I love that. So it's like, you know, it's a little more laid back, and they're actually interesting too, because they're living starting to live a very minimalistic lifestyle. And like my friend Claudia, shout out to Claudia, Crazy Island family, they'll be moving to Hawaii to live in a tiny house. So right now, they're, you know, getting rid of their stuff, and, you know, it's just really cool to follow their journey. So again, I'll link them below. I can't say enough. So shout out to those guys. And the people that I'm meeting through the Raw Till Whenever group on Facebook, are amazing too. So it's great. Life is amazing, and you can't predict where you're gonna wind up. But I know that I've dreamed about this lifestyle. I've wanted this for myself, and anything is possible if you just, one day at a time. And I have to say, initially when I started juicing and being conscious, like really, really conscious, I'm really conscious every day of just nurturing myself and, infusing my body with these living enzymes. But I did gain a little weight, and I freaked out a little bit, and I realized that too has been interesting for me, because when you're coming from a lifestyle of restriction and unhealthy, your body is changing, and for the first time ever, you're really nurturing it and treating it well. So right now, initially it's been, like I said, I started juicing in September, and I started being vegan in November. So this is very new for me. But for the last 2.5 months, I initially gained about 8 pounds, and now I'm noticing that I'm starting to lose. I'm putting the scale away. That's another thing. I try not to step on the scale. I'm not focused on the number. I go by how my clothes fit. If I could still button my jeans. So I am noticing things like that. I'm noticing that my clothes are starting to fit a little nicer. I'm feeling more limber. So that's good. And I'm going to continue. I'm going to hardcore incorporate a vegan lifestyle. I like to give myself goals and things like that. I don't want to put an end cap on it, because I want to do this for the rest of my life. But I'm at least going to do this for a year. I'm going to say that I'm going to try it for a year, knowing full well that I'm going to continue. But I'm going to try this for a year, and I'll keep you guys posted. And I encourage you to join me. And I know so many of you have been doing this for much longer than I have. So if you have any great, people to recommend, or recipes, or things you'd like me to try or share with you, I'd be really happy to. And knowing that, again, I'm a newbie at this. Like I said, I'm a registered nurse, but I have to tell you, it's really sad how much nutrition I learned in nursing school. It was, a couple of chapters in a book. And I guarantee you guys too. I mean, when you go to the doctor, and I try to stay away from the doctor, but when you guys go, does your doctor really talk to you about like healthy lifestyle things? And does he bring up diet at all? No, they want to give you medication. They want to give you a pill for your high blood pressure. They want to give you a pill for your aching joints. They want to give you a pill for or insulin for your diabetes. Every single ailment that you can name can be cured with food and a healthy diet. And, I think we're just so accustomed in this culture. We've been fed such a lie and a bullshit message, and we buy it, that we need a pill. And in the meantime, Big Farm and the doctors are getting richer, and we're dying. There's no money in wellness. They want repeat customers. There's only money in patients who are sick and keep having to come back to the doctor and keep having to renew their prescriptions. When they find out a way to make money on, vegetables, which they have, and that's a whole nother GMO, Monsanto nightmare, which I'm not going to get into. Okay, you guys, I am very close to my destination right now. I'm actually driving down my old road, and I haven't been down this road in close to 2 years now. So I'm gonna say goodbye for now, and I'll post this up, and let me see, it's almost 40 minutes, so it's perfect timing, you guys. Thank you. If you enjoyed this video and you want to hear more story times from me, give me a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, I would love it if you do. And I hope you guys have a beautiful, beautiful, blessed day. I'm hoping to get some artwork done this week. So that will be good. And if I do, you'll see that as well. But you'll definitely see me on Sunday. I love you guys so much. Blessed be. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.